My son-in-law threw my pregnant daughter off his yacht at midnight. The Coast Guard found her alive. Barely. But what they found on her body made them call detectives. Bruises. In specific places. Finger-shaped. Around her throat. Her wrists. Defensive wounds. This wasn't an accident. But that's not the worst thing they found. When they searched the yacht, they discovered something in the engine room. Something that proved my daughter wasn't the first person he tried to kill. And something that meant she wasn't supposed to be found alive. Hello, friends. Thanks for joining us at True Experience. If this story resonates with you, please hit that like button and subscribe to stay connected with more real-life tales of betrayal and justice. Drop a comment below telling us where you're watching from. We love hearing from our community across the USA, Canada, and around the world. Quick note before we begin. Some of the details in this account have been adjusted to protect identities, but the core events are real and happened as described. The phone rang at 2:30 in the morning. That's never good news when you're 63 years old. I sat up in bed, my wife already awake beside me, her hand on my arm. Mr. Patterson, this is the Coast Guard station in Fort Lauderdale. Your daughter, Chloe, has been recovered from water. She's being transported to Broward Health Medical Center. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the phone. Chloe was 7 months pregnant. She'd been out on Edward's yacht for their anniversary dinner. Just the two of them, he'd said. Romantic evening under the stars. We dressed in silence and drove to the hospital. The whole way, my wife kept whispering prayers under her breath. I kept seeing Chloe as a little girl, learning to swim in our backyard pool, never afraid of the water. She'd always loved the ocean. The emergency room, doctor met us outside the intensive care unit. He was young, maybe 35, with tired eyes that had seen too much. Your daughter is stable, but she's hypothermic and in shock. The baby appears to be okay for now, but we're monitoring closely. He paused. Mr. Patterson, there are police detectives who need to speak with you. And with Chloe, when she's able. That's when I knew. This wasn't an accident. Detective Carmen Rodriguez was waiting in a small consultation room. She was maybe 50, with gray streaking through her dark hair, pulled back tight. She'd probably seen everything in her career. But when she looked at me, I saw something in her eyes that made my stomach drop. Mr. Patterson, your daughter has injuries consistent with an assault. Bruising around her neck, wrists, and forearms. Defensive wounds on her hands. We're treating this as an attempted homicide. I couldn't speak. My wife made a sound like someone had punched her. Where's Edward? I finally managed. We're looking for him. His yacht is still anchored about 3 miles offshore. We have units heading there now. I'd never liked Edward. I need to be honest about that. When Chloe brought him home 4 years ago, something felt wrong. He was 38 then, she was 26. Successful investment banker, expensive suits, perfect teeth. Too smooth. Too practiced. My wife said I was being overprotective, that Chloe was a grown woman with a master's degree who could make her own choices. I tried to be supportive, walked her down the aisle, shook his hand, welcomed him into our family. But I watched. I always watched. The first year seemed fine. They bought a house in Coral Gables. Edward started his own investment firm. Chloe kept working as a teacher, even though Edward made enough that she didn't need to. She liked her independence, she said. Then small things started changing. She stopped coming to Sunday dinners as often. When she did come, she was quieter. Wore long sleeves, even in the Miami heat. Said she was tired a lot. My wife noticed before I did that Chloe had stopped talking about her own plans, her own thoughts. Everything was Edward says or Edward thinks. When she told us she was pregnant last February, she seemed happy but also frightened. I couldn't put my finger on why. Edward seemed pleased enough, talking about legacy and heirs. That word stuck with me. Heirs. Like he was some kind of aristocrat instead of a banker from New Jersey. Detective Rodriguez came back 3 hours later. Chloe was awake, asking for us. We could see her, but only for a few minutes. My daughter looked broken. That's the only word for it. Her face was pale against the white hospital pillow, an oxygen tube under her nose, monitors beeping steadily. Purple bruises darkened her throat in the unmistakable shape of hands. "Daddy," she whispered when she saw me. I took her hand, careful of the 4 line. "I'm here, sweetheart. You're safe now." He tried to kill me. Her voice was so small. He tried to kill both of us. My wife was crying silently beside me. I kept my voice steady. Tell us what happened. We were having dinner on the yacht. Everything seemed normal. Then he started talking about his first wife. She closed her eyes. I didn't know he had a first wife. He always said I was his first serious relationship. The machines beeped faster as her heart rate increased. He said she died in a boating accident 5 years ago, off the coast of the Bahamas. Said it was tragic, unexpected. Then he looked at me with these cold eyes and said history repeats itself. She was shaking now. He said the baby wasn't part of his plan, that I'd become inconvenient, that the insurance money would be useful. I felt something dark and cold settle in my chest. He grabbed me. We fought. I scratched his face, his arms. He dragged me to the railing. Tears ran down her face. He said I should have just done what I was told, that I asked too many questions about his business, about the offshore accounts. Then he threw me over. My wife had to leave the room. I stayed, holding Chloe's hand while she cried. The water was so cold, Daddy. I thought I was going to die. I thought the baby was going to die. I just kept floating on my back, trying to stay calm, trying to breathe. I don't know how long I was out there. Hours, maybe. Then I saw the Coast Guard lights. Detective Rodriguez was waiting outside when I finally left Chloe's room. We found Edward on the yacht, she said. He claimed your daughter fell overboard accidentally, that he'd been searching for her. He seemed genuinely distressed, actually put on a good show, but he had fresh scratches on his face and arms. What else did you find? She looked at me carefully. Can we talk somewhere private? We went back to that small consultation room. She closed the door and pulled out her phone, showing me photographs. We found a duffel bag in the engine room. Inside were concrete blocks, chains, and a tarp. We also found search histories on the yacht's laptop about ocean currents, body decomposition rates, and shark feeding patterns in the Gulf Stream. I thought I might be sick. There's more. We contacted the Bahamas authorities about his first wife's death. Her name was Jennifer. She drowned in a boating accident 5 years ago, just like your daughter said. The case was ruled accidental at the time. Rodriguez's jaw was tight. But Jennifer's family never believed it. They said she was terrified of Edward, that she'd wanted to leave him. She found out about some illegal financial activities. The life insurance paid out $2 million. He planned this, I said quietly. We believe so. The concrete blocks are significant. Your daughter wasn't supposed to surface. She wasn't supposed to be found. They arrested Edward that morning. His lawyer tried to get him released on bail, but the judge denied it. Too much flight risk, too much evidence, too much money in offshore accounts that kept appearing as investigators dug deeper. Chloe stayed in the hospital for a week. The baby was okay, remarkably resilient despite everything. My wife and I brought her home to our house when she was released. She couldn't bear to go back to the house she'd shared with Edward. The trial took 14 months. By then, Chloe had given birth to a beautiful baby girl she named Hope. I thought that was fitting. The prosecution built their case carefully. Financial records showing Edward had taken out a $5 million life insurance policy on Chloe just 6 months earlier. His first wife's family testified about the similarities. Marine experts explained the concrete blocks and chains. The medical examiner showed photographs of Chloe's injuries. Edward's defense tried to claim it was all a tragic misunderstanding, that the concrete blocks were for a different project, that Chloe had mental health issues and jumped herself. The jury didn't buy it. They found him guilty on all counts. Attempted murder of an unborn child, fraud. And after the Bahamas reopened their investigation based on the new evidence, he was extradited to face charges there too. He got life without parole in Florida. I attended every day of that trial, sitting behind Chloe, making sure Edward saw me every time he turned around. I wanted him to know that she had a family, that she hadn't been alone in that water, and she wouldn't be alone ever again. The Bahamas trial is still ongoing, but their prosecutor seems confident. Jennifer's family sends us letters sometimes. They say it helps, knowing that Edward will finally face justice for what he did to their daughter. Chloe lives with us now. She's been through therapy, physical and mental. Some days are harder than others. She still has nightmares about the water, about the cold, about those hands around her throat. But she's strong, stronger than she knew. Hope is 2 years old now. She has Chloe's eyes and her grandmother's smile. She loves the water, fearless in the kiddie pool we set up in the backyard. Chloe watches her carefully, but doesn't stop her from enjoying it. Last week, Chloe started teaching again, part-time at first. Her students made her a welcome back banner. She cried when she saw it, but they were good tears. I think about that night a lot. How close we came to losing them both. How Edward had planned everything so carefully. How he'd done it before and thought he'd get away with it again. How if Chloe hadn't fought so hard, if the current hadn't been just right, if the Coast Guard hadn't been running exercises in that area. But she did fight, and the current was right. And they found her. Sometimes survival isn't about luck. It's about refusing to give up, even when someone you trusted tries to erase you from the world. It's about the marks you leave behind, the evidence you create just by fighting back. Chloe's defensive wounds, her scratches on Edward's face, they told the truth when she couldn't speak. I look at Hope playing in the backyard, and I think about the life she gets to have because her mother survived. Because evil doesn't always win, even when it seems perfectly planned. Edward sent a letter once from prison, asking Chloe to bring Hope to visit. His daughter, he called her. His legacy. Chloe burned the letter and never responded. Some people don't deserve forgiveness. Some people don't deserve anything at all. My daughter is rebuilding her life. It's slow work, but she's doing it. And we're here, every step of the way, making sure she knows she's not alone. That she never was, even in those cold, dark hours floating in the ocean. That's what family does. We survive. We testify. We remember. And we make sure the truth comes to light, no matter how deep someone tries to bury it. If this story touched you, please take a moment to like and subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, if you or someone you know is in danger, reach out. There are people who will believe you, who will fight for you, who will help you survive. Drop a comment below with your thoughts, or just let us know where you're watching from. Your support means everything to our community. Until next time, stay safe. And remember that surviving is sometimes the greatest victory of all.